Well, this is awkward. If you saw my last episode, my lab did not look like this. Not even a little bit. So we suffered a catastrophic crash. I don't even know if crash is the right word, because it was a really long time coming. We've been having issues with the server for weeks at this point, and we had to roll back, and it's not great. So I figured we should have a little talk and maybe discuss some of the things that happened and some of the things you might want to avoid on your own servers if you have them, because we had an awful lot of lessons learned, and there are other servers that have already long since learned this lesson and have implemented things we didn't do or that we didn't pay attention to or we didn't listen to. These are all on me, folks. I'm the one who made the decision to do this. But we should probably talk about that too, because when I started this server, or rather, when my admin started this server, because this is not my server. This is run by a really, really good friend of mine that I've known for actual decades at this point. And yes, I'm old enough that I can measure my friends in decades. We decided when we started to just not block anything at all, and we figured we could address it as we went on. And that was a oh, hey, my balcony survived, though, so apparently I literally just missed the episode. Anyhow, we decided to trust the incoming players because we had no idea how many people were ever going to even show up or how many people we had to support, okay? And my channel's small, or at least it's small at the time of the filming of this, because I was expecting like a handful of people total, maybe. Like, if I was extremely lucky. My Discord, when we launched the invite video, was 12 people. 12 people. That's not very many. But you know, you offer people free stuff and they come screaming because people love free stuff, and that's great. That's fine. We've met a humongous number of really, really awesome players. The community that's been building on the server was really, really fantastic. Now, however, we have probably betrayed their trust some, and we will see if things recover or not. It's hard to say. But we had started with the idea to trust the players and to leave things wide open and hope for the best. And it really, honestly, at small numbers, it worked okay, and it worked fine. Like, we had some people rush straight towards the end game and do some massive amounts of automation, run queries, do all of the bad things they don't let you normally do on servers with some pretty good reasons. But with small numbers, that wasn't an issue, not even a little bit. But we expanded up and we were adding multiple people a day, and it was building and building and building. I don't know how large our whitelist is at this point. It's, I think, still under 100, but we were having an average of, you know, roughly like 10 people on concurrently for a while. It was actually pretty fun for a long time. But with that came load problems. And we're going on about a month and a half now. I want to say it was like 3 weeks in, maybe 4. We started watching the ticks per second reports coming out of Spark because we were starting to see massive overworld performance issues. And that was caused by a couple of different things, and I've already discussed one of them. I brought it up, I want to say, a couple times now with the pipes mod, and we probably should go into some of the lessons learned here now, because this is where like the transport mods become problems. So pipes was a mod written because somebody was kind of frankly annoyed at how bad the mechanism pipes were, because the mechanism pipes have had issues for years at this point. It's been quite a while, pretty much almost as long as I've been playing Minecraft. It's been a long time. They've been known to have performance issues for just forever, and which is fine as long as you know that, but a lot of people don't know that. And the pipes it started out good. It started out really good until you add diamond or netherite upgrades to the pipes, which is when you can do filtering on the pipes to white or blacklist items coming out of their inventories. And because of how fast those pipes access their inventories at an increased rate at those upgrade levels, it scans those inventories just all the freaking time. And it causes massive server issues, especially when you connect it to a larger storage system. And it doesn't even have to be an AE2 or a refined storage system. It can be something like a sophisticated storage diamond chest. Like anything that's just larger than a normal double chest, it can be immediately problematic. And we were noticing the TBS reports that it was eating up basically half our available ticks. So that was really bad, but that was at least easy to get people to stop using it because we could tell that it was having issues. But that was just like a symptom of like the greater problems, because what actually killed the server at the end of the day was mechanism. Mechanism is what straight up broke our server. The mechanism pipes were causing issues with shutting the server down when we were trying to reboot it to reset the TPS and get people to unload their chunks temporarily. And the way mechanism works, it basically has to update every single pipe in the chain to do anything with transport inside of them, because it does do render entities on the pipes themselves, which is, it looks nice, but it's problematic because of that. So that's what brought our server down, and we started seeing chunk corruption issues because of it, because it would stop the shutdown and not all of the chunks would write out properly, and when people lost chunks of their base or saw them duplicated elsewhere. And that is where we made our biggest single mistake, and that was not immediately downing the server and stopping people from playing. And that's why our rollback is now, I want to say it was 4 or 5 days back from the final state, because it got really bad around some people's bases. So we have rolled back quite a bit of progress, unfortunately, and that hurt other people more so than me, because I am probably one of the people who plays least on the server. So while mechanism killed the server, it was not the sole reason. It was the thing that was the straw that broke the camel's back, but it was all of the automation that actually murdered us, and all of the high-speed throughput through all of the machines, because there are things like refined storage is a known problem for some of this stuff, as well as cable tiers, which feeds into it. Anything that processes things super fast or in super large amounts. Quarries and things like Chunk Destroyer, also known problems with all that. I don't think we're going to be removing some of those things for now. We heavily leverage refined storage on this server, although I'm personally not going to be using it, probably due to just the problems people were running into with it. I'm not familiar with refined storage, but I have seen nothing but nonstop issues for weeks now from people. And we're not talking just like speed issues. We're talking just issues making it work right, or bugs with cable tiers. I know AE2 works, folks, but I bring this up because like it was the actual load on the server that was causing the issues on top of all of that, like people processing extremely large loads. And part of that is something a lot of people don't think about, and because one of the things people are used to doing is being able to chunk load areas like this or like that and like that, where they claim it and then they mark them as chunk loaded, so they always are loaded on the server. And if they're always loaded, they're always processing. But people load their chunks without thinking about how to properly set their stuff up in it. And I came out to Spawn because I wanted to show something Wraith did that frankly I wish more people did, including myself. I'm really, really bad at chunk lining stuff. But if we come out here, when Wraith laid out the plaza area, he set up all of the plot areas to be completely chunk aligned. Like these paths are basically centered, where he wants all the buildings are basically all chunk aligned like this. Like you come over here and this portal room is all within the same chunk right here. Stuff like that. Because frankly, that matters a lot for performance issues, because people tend to lay things out horizontally, myself included. I'm really bad about that, and I know all about chunk alignment. Because anytime you chunk load something, it loads everything in that chunk, but that chunk is vertical. The vast majority of it goes up and down, and the more chunks you load, the more stuff that is loaded, and that if you're laying things out horizontally, well, you've just chunk loaded however many chunks that is. And there's things like Mechanism in particular, but I want to say Immersive Engineering and a few others in the past have all had multi-block structures that just do not handle crossing chunk borders at all well if those chunks are not all loaded at the same time. And particularly Mechanism pipes suffer from that, which is part of what we were seeing. So if there's any one thing I would wish people in general would improve on, including myself, especially myself, it's chunk lining things and building vertically. Like if you want to build a whole bunch of automation, build it in a single chunk. And I think going forward, one of the things my admin wants to do, and we probably should do a spotlight on him because I've known him forever and he deserves to be talked about. He's been running Minecraft servers pretty much since modded Minecraft has been a thing. And he has been absolutely amazing at debugging these issues, even if we had to roll back. We're probably going to be disabling chunk loading as a whole, at least when people are offline, assuming we can find a way. He was working on that last time I talked to him. Because chunk loading does need to exist in some form, because we have cross-dimensional processing for stuff. Like, you need, like, ender chests need to be able to talk to each other if you're passing things through that way, or wireless terminals, or any sort of thing that requires access remotely, or even if you're just 5 chunks away from something in your own base that should still be running, stuff like that. So it does need to happen, at least to a certain extent, but not as a shared resource when you're offline and you're just doing nothing but affecting other people's ability to play the game, which is part of what was happening here. People were doing things like running quarries overnight, which the quarry itself is a massive resource hog on top of all of the chunks that were loaded and being kept loaded to handle all the processing and stuff like that. So that was not great. Anyhow, I hope this was at least some usable or useful insight to some people as to what can go wrong with a server. I obviously am not showing you how to debug all of this. I'm not the admin. I was just following along the conversations, nodding my head and going, yeah. I mean, I've been a software engineer for decades at this point, but I'm not going to pretend I am an expert on how to run a Minecraft server. I understood the conversation, but that doesn't mean I know how to fix things. So, to my player base, if any of you are watching this, I'm sorry if we have harmed any trust on you regarding the server. We did lose an awful lot of progress, and that was not great, and I'm deeply sorry for that. And hopefully we can avoid doing that in the future. We will probably be having to implement some restrictions that we had not been doing before, and hopefully we can keep things stable moving forward. Anyhow, as always, I'm Ard. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.